Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Kevin McNamara. First off, we're going to go right to meteorologist Corey Smith for a look at the forecast. Corey, how's it looking?
Well, Kevin, it was a cold day here across the Mid-South. The good news is Sunday is looking just a little bit better. As we take a look outside right now, overcast conditions across the region. That's what we've seen for most of the day. In fact, we started off with some fog, and temperatures have not really moved. We started off at 40 at the airport. 43 was our official high today. We did pick up around 3/100ths of an inch of rain. This is all setting the stage for a pretty active pattern as you go throughout the next 7 days. But before we get there, tomorrow's looking pretty nice. As we start off the morning hours, we will see some sunshine, 43 degrees around 10 a.m., and we're sitting around 47 around noon, working towards 50 to 53 degrees in the afternoon, depending on your location. But we will be chilly to start off the morning, low 30s likely. So if you're heading out maybe to church, make sure you're dressing a little bit warm. As we head into the afternoon, sunshine is going to really warm us up nicely compared to what we saw today, and we'll be mostly clear as we head into your Sunday night. We then start to change things up, though. So unfortunately, these temperatures right here are probably the nicest that we're going to be seeing this week, 50 degrees around 4 p.m. with plenty of sunshine here across the Mid-South. This is going to set the stage for our first system that we're tracking as we go Monday and into Tuesday. An area of low pressure moving out of the southern plains, and you'll see this starting to form right here around Monday evening. All this very heavy rain moving through the Mid-South, and we're going to be watching for some gusty winds, especially on the back edge of the system as it pushes through as we go on to Tuesday. So in fact, taking a look at some of those model values right now, we're looking at wind gusts in the range of 30 to 40 miles per hour as you go, especially Monday evening and into Tuesday. With that wet ground, we can't rule out the possibility of maybe some sporadic power outages due to downed trees, but I'm not expecting widespread issues with the storm, but definitely a blustery day as you go into your Tuesday. You can see noon still around 30 to 35 mile per hour wind gusts. As you go towards the middle of the week, this system is going to be moving out. We should be quiet as you go Wednesday and into Thursday. But as we take a look at Friday, we're watching another very potent system. This could bring some thunderstorms, and behind it, potentially the coldest air that we've seen so far this season. It looks like highs potentially in the 30s. Your 7-day forecast going forward, 51 degrees is going to be your high temperature tomorrow with plenty of sunshine. We're windy with some rain Monday and into Tuesday with highs in the low 50s. A little bit quieter towards the middle of the week. Wednesday, 47 degrees, your high temperature up to 54 as we go on your Thursday. Then we're watching that system very closely towards the end of the week. Maybe some showers, some thunderstorms, and definitely some wind as we go down to 36 degrees next Saturday.
Tomorrow marks 1 year since the tragic beating of Tyre Nichols at the hands of Memphis police, and he would die days later. Our Rudy Williams is here with what we've learned in the past year and the man Nichols was.
Well, as news broke of the vicious beating of Tyre Nichols, many people were introduced to a young man battered and scarred, clinging to life in a hospital room bed. But for family and friends who knew Nichols, a year after his death, they remember a life full of promise, filled with lots of joy to share.
Long before the world knew the name, Tyre Nichols, the 29-year-old father, touched lives.
Justice for Tyree! Justice for Tyree! Justice for Tyree! Justice for Tyree!
Thrust into global headlines after a brutal beating and ultimate death at the hands of police during a traffic stop January 7th of 2023, Nichols became a household name. Before and after the release of disturbing video from that night, demonstrations from his hometown of Sacramento, California, to his adopted home of Memphis called attention to the dangers of police misconduct.
And I still haven't had time to grieve yet. I'm still dealing with the death of my son.
Weeks after Nichols' death, his distraught mother, Rovon Wells, fighting tears to give us a picture of just who her son was. Wells recalls preparing lunch almost daily for her husband, Rodney Wells, and Nichols, who both worked at FedEx, a cherished bond between the two men. This rare on-camera interview of Nichols while in California showing a vibrant young man about a year before his violent encounter with Memphis police.
It's been very agonizing and very agitating waiting here and having everyone go in front of you, appointments, and you're here stuck. So that was my experience. It was a really bad one, actually. I haven't been here in 5 years, and this is probably the worst time ever.
The patience and life in his voice demonstrating a hopeful outlook. Nichols' words foreshadowing the fate he would soon meet at the hands of law enforcement. These pictures show a young man who enjoyed life by the water, the beauty of sunsets, and found freedom in flying by the wheels of a skateboard. An avid photographer, many of those moments captured by Nichols himself. Moments his family nor Nichols' young daughter will ever have again, as expressed by his sister, Kiana Dixon, as she addressed supporters last year.
Our family will never be the same because of the cruel act over a traffic stop.
A year later, the pain of a mother's loss just as fresh.
Well, Nichols' life and legacy lives on, especially in the skate community, where he made many friends. Back to you.
Tomorrow, just 0.3 of a mile from where Tyre Nichols was pulled over 1 year ago, a vigil will be held where the now former Memphis cops savagely beat him. Organizers hope the weekend vigil will not only support Nichols' family, but also keep up the pressure for more police reform. The attorneys representing Tyre Nichols' family said in a statement, what happened on January 7th, 2023 was an unspeakable and inhumane tragedy that needlessly took the life of a gentle and peaceful person who was loved by so many. Well, today, Regional 1 Hospital hosted their third annual 1 Mile Championship open to runners and walkers alike. This was the biggest one yet, with over 500 registered runners. Money raised goes toward Regional 1's cancer program and the support services around the program, from transportation to and from treatments to wigs for patients going through chemo, as well as the research physicians do. Tammy Ritchie, the Chief Development Officer for Regional 1, says that one of the reasons so many people have showed up is because cancer is something that affects everyone at some point.
1 in 4 people in Memphis will use our services at some point. So it does feel like a big family reunion sometimes. We have people that were patients here that have decided to come out as support. It's a very easy way for people to give back to the hospital, and it's a way to pay it forward.
This race is part of the Campbell Clinic collection of races that culminates in the Germantown Half Marathon later this year. Well, just a few hours ago, the Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church came together at the boat launch in Greenbelt Park today to celebrate the Feast of the Epiphany by blessing the river and all those who benefit from it. The feast is one of the earliest in the Christian traditions, dating all the way back to the 1st century. It celebrates the baptism of Jesus in the Jordan River by John the Baptist. Traditionally, the church blesses the largest body of water in the region. The blessing is followed by a community meal at the church. Also today, marking 3 years since the January 6th Capitol insurrection. President Biden was supposed to kick off his re-election events today to mark the 3rd anniversary of the January 6th attack on the Capitol, but forecasted bad weather forced him to deliver his remarks on Friday.
Trump's mob wasn't a peaceful protest. It was a violent assault. They were insurrectionists, not patriots. They weren't there to uphold the Constitution. They were there to destroy the Constitution. Trump won't do what an American president must do. He refuses to denounce political violence. So hear me clearly. I'll say what Donald Trump won't. Political violence is never, ever acceptable in the United States political system. Never, never, never.
Here in Memphis, multiple people participated and were convicted of participating in the attack. Joshua Lee Hernandez, also known as Ace Hernandez, was sentenced to 2 years in prison on felony charges. Court documents say that while at the Capitol, Hernandez incited the crowd by waving a flag and chanting. Also, Matthew Bledsoe was arrested here in Tennessee. He originally pleaded not guilty, but was later found guilty by a jury and sentenced to 4 years in prison. While at the Capitol, Bledsoe posted pictures and video of him entering the building, evidence that was later used against him. And here in Memphis, local and state lawmakers are developing new solutions to help curb the Bluff City's crime crisis, a crisis accelerated here by stolen guns from cars. In fact, right now, stealing a gun in Tennessee isn't necessarily a felony, but one Mid-South lawmaker is trying to change that. As the law stands now, if a stolen gun is valued at less than $1,000, a person charged faces just a misdemeanor, no different than a traffic ticket. Data shows the vast majority of handguns are valued under that $1,000 threshold. State Senator Brent Taylor, a Republican from Shelby County, wants to make that punishment tougher. He plans to introduce a proposed bill when the legislative session begins next week to make all gun thefts a felony, regardless of the weapon's value.
Firearms are meant to protect and provide, you know? So we can feed ourselves with them, we can defend ourselves with them, we can defend our nation with them, we do a lot with it. It's a very important tool. It's also a tool of life and death.
There are very few crimes committed with a lawfully purchased firearm. And so if we can catch somebody before they commit a crime and they have in their possession a stolen firearm, we'll be able to charge them with a felony and perhaps prevent a crime from occurring.
Senator Taylor said he expects the bill will get bipartisan support this upcoming session, and if it passes, it likely would become law in July. Well, that's all we have for you here on this edition of ABC 24 News. We'll see you tonight after the game.